On this Sunday night, wildfires spread in Canada's north. Another community forced to evacuate in the Northwest Territories.
It's been so hot and so dry here that this is just what we experience now.
The precarious situation as residents flee to safety. A challenge to the West. The summit of leaders from China, Russia, India, and beyond looking to reshape global security. Plus, it's an alien invasion, the fight against invasive plants threatening vegetation near Montreal. And the COVID babies are going to school.
They're excited, they want to be here, they want to learn, they learn quickly.
How will they find kindergarten after being locked down as infants?
Global National. Reporting tonight, Eric Sorensen.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us. The focus of Canada's wildfire emergency has shifted north. A second community in the Northwest Territories has been forced to evacuate, with fires spreading and threatening nearby. Some 700 residents of Fort Providence, southwest of Yellowknife, were ordered to flee this morning. That order issued after significant overnight growth of a wildfire, which is now just 2 kilometers away from the community. Images from the European Space Agency satellite also show the vast fire and how thick the smoke has become as of yesterday. Evacuees are now making their way to Hay River, where the territory's premier is as well.
I was just down at the evacuation center, and the first busload came in. So a number of people came off, with all of their belongings. And there's a level of stress, of course. You don't know the state of your community. You don't know if your home's going to be there when you get back. I think I was a little surprised how much it moved overnight given the conditions, but it's been so hot and so dry here that this is just what we experience now. Fire is behaving in ways that it hasn't behaved before.
Further north, some 600 people from the community of Wati are still out of their homes. They were forced to leave on Friday. That fire has grown to 29,000 hectares. Strong winds are also forecast to affect both fires in the coming hours. Global News meteorologist Yvonne Schalle joins us now with more on what to expect. Yvonne?
Thanks so much, Eric. We've been tracking a cold front across the Northwest Territories, and the winds were strong northerly. Now, as we get in towards this evening, the wind forecast, it'll briefly switch to more of a southerly wind, and then for tomorrow, it shifts back to northerly wind, and we'll see those winds range between 10 and up to 20 kilometers per hour. Smoke will still be a big weather story impacting all areas. We've got an air quality warning that is in effect, also extending in towards northern Alberta and Saskatchewan. Those with respiratory issues will want to try and limit the amount of time spent outdoors, and with the air quality warning, we're seeing poor air quality and reduced visibility. Now, here's the latest on the fire danger rating nationally. For today, we're sitting at extreme for the Northwest Territories, and tomorrow will be ranging between very high to extreme, so not much of an improvement just yet. And we're also still tracking the heat throughout much of the western half of the country. For Saskatchewan and Regina, highs will be pushing closer to 30 degrees. Different weather story across the east, though, for our Labor Day tomorrow. Toronto, sunny skies, 23 degrees. In Ottawa with highs up to 25. Eric?
Yvonne Schalle, thank you. The year isn't over yet, but 2025 is already the second worst on record for wildfires in this country, with nearly 8 million hectares burned. 2023 was the worst by far, with over 17 million hectares burned. And while the Northwest Territories is dealing with fires right now, the overall area burned this year is about half as much as this time last season, when the North was among the worst affected areas. Despite years of deadly border clashes between India and China, the leaders of the two countries appear to be resetting relations. Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping met at a regional summit in China today, not only to bolster cooperation, but potentially to rebalance international relations and global security. Russian President Vladimir Putin is also at the summit. As Mackenzie Gray explains, it's a meeting Western countries like Canada and the U.S. are watching closely.
It's yet another sign of a shifting global political order. For the first time since 2018, Narendra Modi in China, meeting with President Xi Jinping. The Chinese leader saying it's the right choice for both sides to be friends, a message echoed by the Indians.
It was also understood that it is critical that India and China grow and cooperate.
The newly blossoming friendship comes after multiple border skirmishes at the start of the decade that saw dozens killed on both sides. But those clashes are now behind the two Asian superpowers, thanks to Donald Trump.
And as you know, we put a 50% tariff on India.
Trump's favorite tactic, used this time because India has substantially increased their purchase of cheap Russian oil since the start of the war in Ukraine.
India had less than 1% of their oil, 1%, and now I believe it's up to 42%. So wow. India is just profiteering, or they are just profiteering. They are reselling. They've made $16 billion in excess profits.
India not willing to back down, continuing to buy Russian oil and drifting away from the U.S., who has courted Indian support as a hedge on China for decades, giving Russian President Vladimir Putin, who attended the meetings in China, another opportunity to rehab his image on the world stage. But for the Trump administration, all of those issues are interconnected.
India then uses American dollars to buy Russian oil. Russia then uses those American dollars that come from India to finance its armaments to kill Ukrainians. And then American taxpayers are then called upon to pay for the weapons that have to defend Ukraine.
Mark Carney has also attempted to expand outreach with China and India to diversify trade away from an uncertain U.S., Eric, and so far that's yielded mixed results. India and Canada have restarted diplomatic relations after the killing of a Canadian Sikh activist, but China has recently put new tariffs on Canadian canola.
Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa tonight. Thank you. In the U.S., President Donald Trump is preparing to expand his aggressive crackdown on crime. He began in Washington, D.C., where Trump deployed the National Guard 3 weeks ago. He's now strongly hinting he'll deploy troops to Chicago, intensifying a political standoff between Trump and Democrats in Illinois. Candace Cole explains.
President Trump could be sending National Guard troops to Chicago as soon as this week, according to Chicago's mayor. Pointing to recent crime numbers in a post on his Truth Social over the weekend, Trump called Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker crazy, saying, quote, he better straighten it out fast or we're coming.
It's an invasion with U.S. troops if they in fact do that.
Governor Pritzker has said sending troops into Chicago is against the law and has threatened legal action if the president persists. But Trump's rhetoric around crime in Chicago, much like D.C., has been the driving force to justify the possibility of activating the National Guard there.
As you all know, Chicago's a killing field right now, and they don't acknowledge it.
Chicago apparently is living rent-free in his head. Notice he never talks about where the most violent crime is occurring, which is in red states. Illinois is not even in the bottom half of states in terms of violent crime.
In fact, according to the FBI's 2024 violent crime data, Chicago, with its population of 2.6 million people, reported just over 14,000 incidents, compared to a city like Memphis in Republican-led Tennessee, which reported 15,000 violent crimes with a population less than a quarter of Chicago.
We will not have our police officers deputized to do traffic stops and checkpoints for the president.
Saturday, Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson signed the Protecting Chicago Initiative, a sweeping yet mostly symbolic executive order aimed at protecting the rights of Chicagoans and prohibiting law enforcement, including ICE, from concealing their identities with face coverings. Governor Pritzker says what would be helpful is bringing in more agents from the FBI and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, as well as investing in crime prevention programs. Candace Cole, Global News, Washington.
Today marks International Overdose Awareness Day, a time to recognize and remember those who lost their lives to addiction. In Edmonton, a group of grieving families has come together to ensure their loved ones are not forgotten. As Quinn Oler reports, they hope their stories can be a catalyst for change.
More than 50,000 people drive by this billboard every day, flashing by the faces of more than 30 loved ones who've died by overdose, reminding people they were someone's something.
Stephen was a great guy, excellent brother, friend, very intelligent. Sadly, he fought the battle of addiction.
It's only been 6 months since Karen Gadu lost her son, 42-year-old Stephen Klein, one of 82 people who died by drug poisoning in Edmonton in March of 2025.
Before Stephen passed, I had no idea what was happening out here.
She's joined other bereaved families to draw attention to the toxic drug supply crisis. Gadu says the focus needs to be on harm reduction, things like supervised consumption sites and drug testing.
These loved ones are not statistics. They are loved deeply by very, very many people.
Mom Stop the Harm says this billboard campaign has grown over the past 9 years.
We continue to lose loved ones on a regular basis every day.
The parents pay for the images to be shown, a way to honor their loved ones and educate the public.
A lot of these people on the billboard were regular kids. My daughter was 18 when she died in 2016. She was not homeless. She was not living on the streets. She was a kid that just didn't know how to cope with life, and she used substances, and she used a substance that killed her.
This is Kadu's first time seeing her son's face up there.
I think he'd be proud of me here now today, having the strength to talk about the loss of him and how we lost him.
Hoping by sharing her story, other families don't have to go through what she has. Quinn Oler, Global News.
Israel's onslaught on Gaza City. Coming up, the intensifying attacks and deepening despair inside the Palestinian enclave. Russian drone strikes on Ukraine's power facilities left nearly 60,000 homes without electricity overnight. President Volodymyr Zelensky vowed retaliation, ordering planned strikes deep inside Russia. Both sides have stepped up attacks, with Ukraine targeting oil refineries and pipelines. In Kyiv, mourners bid farewell to a 2-year-old and her mother, killed in a recent Russian strike which claimed 23 lives in the Ukrainian capital. And today, the Kremlin accused European powers of hindering negotiations, adding that Russia will continue operations in Ukraine until it sees real signs Ukraine is ready for peace. Israeli forces are escalating their assault around Gaza City, hitting from multiple directions. Smoke was billowing over the enclave today after heavy tank shelling and airstrikes were reported in the city's suburbs overnight and this morning. Health officials say more than 40 people have been killed since Saturday. Israel says among those killed was Abu Obaida, the longtime and always masked spokesperson for the armed wing of Hamas. The militant group has not commented on that claim.
People are stepping up when our governments fail to do so. For every politician that is fueling the genocide, there will be people escalating the resistance against that. And that is what we are trying to do.
Greta Thunberg and dozens of activists left Barcelona today as part of a global independent flotilla in the largest attempt yet to break Israel's blockade of Gaza. The flotilla, carrying food, water, and medicine, will be joined by ships from Greece, Italy, and Tunisia. Similar attempts over the summer were blocked by Israeli forces. Across Australia, thousands of protesters took to the streets today in anti-immigration marches. In Melbourne, the so-called March for Australia turned violent. Police used pepper spray on demonstrators. Australia's government is slamming the protests, saying they promote hate and are linked to neo-Nazis. Several pro-immigration rallies were also organized by groups advocating for migrant rights. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani has been injured in a car crash. His head of security says Giuliani's vehicle was struck from behind on a highway in New Hampshire. He suffered a spinal fracture as well as multiple lacerations and contusions. The former lawyer for Donald Trump is said to be recovering and in good spirits. The head of security doesn't believe it was intentional, adding that Giuliani was in a rental car and no one knew it was him. Quebec's green invasion ahead. David versus Goliath battle in the waters west of Montreal. A battle is underway in the waters northwest of Montreal between man and a relentless invader. A small team of environmentalists has been working all summer to quell a full-blown infestation of water chestnuts, a plant species that's wreaking havoc on the ecosystem. Dan Spector takes us to the front lines of the fight, where sheer determination is the only thing keeping the plant from taking over.
A specialized machine plods along the surface of Carillon Bay, west of Montreal. It's this team's top weapon in a battle against a formidable foe that just won't quit, the water chestnut. Nobody is sure how it got here, but the invasive plant species has blanketed this bay on a massive scale and is creeping into other waterways too.
It will block all sunlight for other plants to grow, so it will choke out all the native vegetation.
Marlene Herzog is the de facto leader of this ragtag squad of water chestnut warriors. Cobamil, the organization spearheading the fight, has been on the offensive against the plant in this bay since 2020. It's also a major danger to fish because it sucks oxygen from the water. Thankfully, it can't grow where the current is strong.
When you see the extent of the plants that grow here, it can be a bit scary.
They started with more primitive tech like rakes, which are still employed all the time to remove tons and tons of the evil invader. The machine has been a big help, but even the mighty beast regularly breaks down in the face of the gargantuan green barrage. Herzog says one seed can spawn 200 to 300 new plants. In spite of their best efforts, she says there are more now than when she started 3 years ago.
This plant is very, very evolved, ahead of our time, our technology to be able to remove it.
A lesser brigade would wave the white flag, but not the Cobamil crew.
Even if we're not able to cut out all the plants, we're still making a difference.
For one, the sections they cleared last year remain water chestnut free.
The clearing there is the path that we made last summer, so it's pretty encouraging to see that the plants did not grow back there.
The budding environmentalists feel they're making the world a better place, one slain chestnut at a time. Plus, everyone gets their turn driving the tank.
I love it. I get really excited to do it. It's really manual.
The project is being funded by environmental organizations and the government until at least 2030. They hope it gets renewed after that. Even if many here are moving on to other fights, their wish is that the next soldiers get even better tech, maybe even a second machine. A new one would cost $100,000, but someone needs to stop the green invasion from taking over other bays. Dan Spector, Global News, Carillon Bay.
Another win at the U.S. Open Tennis Championships for Canada's top doubles player, Gabriela Dabrowski, and her partner, Canadian-born New Zealander Aaron Routliffe. Today's win sends the world's number 3 ranked duo into the third round. Dabrowski is one of 3 Canadians still alive in the final Grand Slam of the year. Leylah Fernandez is playing with Venus Williams. The 45-year-old has turned back the clock to reach the round of 16 in doubles for the first time in 7 years. And on the men's side, the lone Canadian still playing, Felix Auger-Aliassime played one of his best matches last night, beating world number 3 Alexander Zverev.
It's a great boost of confidence for sure. Encouraging for myself, my team, everybody that's been supporting me. You have to be patient and trust that, like, if you have clear intentions in your practice and when the match comes, that results like this will come.
Auger-Aliassime had never beaten a top 5 player at a major. He'll play in the round of 16 tomorrow. Up next, from lockdown to classroom, how COVID-era babies are preparing for their first foray into school. The last day of meteorological summer has gone to the dogs in Toronto. The city opened up some of its public pools this afternoon so canines could take a dip. It's a free event that marks the closing of outdoor pools for another year. Children are going to school for the first time this year, and they're being watched closely. Born from 2020 to 2022 during the height of the COVID pandemic, these kids spent their first years in lockdown with little social contact outside their own families. So, how prepared are they for all the interactions and new relationships that they'll face now in kindergarten? Melissa Ridgen tells us how it's going.
What are some of the things that we got to get you ready for school? What's that?
A lunch kit.
And where does it go?
In my backpack.
Okay, let's pop it in there.
5-year-old Isabella Sumner is gearing up to start kindergarten, but her and her peers are a bit different than the usual batch of school newbies. Born at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, these so-called COVID babies spent their infancy in lockdown.
There was a long period of time that I thought she might live quite a bit of her life in our house, and I couldn't really see past that, that direct lockdown, intense COVID period. So now getting her ready for kindergarten, and she's about to meet, continue to meet the big world and start her education, it feels a bit surreal for sure.
Experts warned they could be developmentally delayed by being deprived of typical early years and socialization.
I want my hat back.
I want my hat back. This kindergarten classroom in Edmonton last week looks and sounds pretty normal.
What do you like about kindergarten?
Go out for recess. Go outside to play recess. I like to play. I like to draw.
Is it fun to hang out with other kids all day?
Yeah. Teresa Bowman has been teaching for decades.
Like all other years, they're excited, they want to be here, they want to learn, they learn quickly.
She's noticed one difference this year.
Maybe the parents are a little bit more anxious, maybe because they've been at home with them, and especially if it's their first child at school.
Dr. Judith Joseph is a child psychiatrist.
Some of the things that we are worried about are social emotional learning, the ability to self-soothe under stress because they were sheltered. And also, these are kids whose parents were likely more anxious compared to the other parents because they had their babies during a time of uncertainty.
It's quite possible that pandemic parents have a harder time on the first day of school than their COVID babies. Melissa Ridgen, Global News, Winnipeg.
And that's Global National for this Sunday night. I'm Eric Sorensen. Tonight's Your Canada showcases Wentworth, Nova Scotia, Whitefish Lake, Ontario, and Coaldale, Alberta. Keep them coming. Send your pictures of Canadian pride to globalnational@globalnews.ca. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll join us again tomorrow. Have a great night.